Hi everyone, it's Gwen with Tabby and another video about how you can read tarot in the Tree of Life. I have my trusty Thoth Tarot here today, so I'm going to draw some cards and see where they put us on the Tree of Life. I'm going to try something a little bit different today and show you a different method that you can use to interpret the cards that you draw. So our first card is the Two of Cups. I think we just saw that. Second card is the Prince of Swords, and our third card is the Two of Swords. So we have two twos and a prince. The first thing I do is plot the cards on the Tree of Life. So the twos, because they are number two, they belong in Sephira number 2, Chokmah at the top right. And the princes all belong in the 6th Sephira in the middle of the Tree of Life. So we're going to put him in Tiferet. Now this does depend on if you're using a different deck. If you're using a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, then you'll want to decide where you put your masculine court cards. But in this case, in the Thoth Tarot, the princes belong in Tiferet, so that's where he's going to go. And we can see immediately that there is a connection. The Emperor is on the path that connects these two. So if we look at these cards as the what and the where, and the major arcana as the how, you can look at the Emperor. Like, you need to act like the Emperor to accomplish, whatever the question at hand is. Now, another thing that you can do is look at the Sephirith and their astrological correspondence. And you don't need to know an awful lot about astrology to do this. It does help. But basically, when I first started, what I did was I had an association with all the Roman gods and goddesses, because I've always been interested in Greek and Roman mythology. And those are the correspondences that you see most often. But you can use other pantheons. You can try the Egyptian pantheon and see if that works. So each Sephira is associated with a god or a goddess, except for Chokmah and except for Keter. Chokmah is it's before anything really has become real. The energy is still so vast and unformed that the astrological correspondence here is called the zodiac, but it's really all of universe, all of creation, all the firmament above us. So you know that it's full of resources, and that kind of explains why twos have this real initial energy. Beginning energy. So if you have a romance reading and you draw the Two of Cups and someone says, oh, fantastic, everything's going really well, and you might want to say, well, this is really early days, so it's great, things are looking great, but it's not even solid yet. You haven't even had like your first date yet. That happens to be now. So because you're traveling the path of the Emperor here, I would really look at the Emperor, because you're starting in Chokmah and you're going to Tiferet and you're going back to Chokmah. So when you go back and forth over a path like that, I think that is a really important thing to pay attention to. And we can look particularly at Chokmah, maybe that emphasis on whatever's going on being quite early on, but also having great potential. Chokmah is a wonderful place to be because you can just do anything. You haven't made any choices yet. Things are just kind of coming into focus. And the Prince of Swords in Tiferet. Tiferet is a really wonderful place to be. It's beautiful. Everything is in balance. It's in the right smack in the middle of the Tree of Life. So everything is just perfect there. It's where, if we're in Malkuth coming up the Tree of Life, that's where we become aware of our divinity. So if you're, meditating and feeling the presence of divinity in yourself, then you're in Tiferet, and it's where divinity talks to us, so to speak. So what might be happening on this path, going back and forth from Chokmah with all of this, unformed potential? What is happening there that's going back and forth between that and Tiferet? And think of it in terms, of course, and however you normally think about the twos and the sixes. Oh, and of course, Tiferet. Tiferet is ruled by the sun. So you have all of the universe and you have the sun. So maybe that gives you a clue about what you're doing in this reading too. So I hope that was interesting. I'll see you in the next video.